Late last night, Dream uploaded a video to his channel called The Truth, and it is an hour and 22-minute long video breaking down every single allegation and lie that has ever come across his channel. And justifiably, most of you probably haven't watched it yet, considering you don't have an hour and 22 minutes to spend watching Dream talk about himself. But I watched the entire thing, and I took 10 pages of notes, so you can treat me kind of like a I watch Dream's video so you don't have to. However, while I do appreciate you sitting and watching my channel and maybe subscribing perchance, I do recommend that if you have any very specific things you want to check with this video, he put detailed chapters throughout the entire thing, so you can find a specific topic if you're curious about what he says about it. But without further ado, I'm going to dig into what I've taken away from the Dream the Truth video. I want to do this video in the most condensed and easy to digest way possible, so I'm going to start things off with my initial reactions. The first thought I had when I clicked on the video was, I got an ad. And that made me mad. I'm not sure why I decided to spit bars there, but my initial response was, okay, you're trying to squeeze more money out of people in a video where you're trying to clear your name, which is the initial reaction Twitter had as well. But unfortunately, I realized Twitter can't read. If you look at the description, it says that he's donating all the ad revenue he gets from this video to charity, so I guess that's cool. That's a pretty good way to start things off, but that's just the opening thought. Let's actually get into the content of the video, which starts with what he calls his big lie. And the big lie isn't anything huge like any grooming allegations or the cheating on the speedrun. It actually relates to his face reveal. You remember this face that got out? Remember this one right here? And he kept saying it wasn't him, and everyone kept saying it wasn't him, but it looks a little bit like him, except if he had pre-weight loss type of situation. And he admitted that was him. It was him the entire time. And the reason he had lied about it is because he wanted his face reveal to be the true first time his face hit the internet. And he was pissed off that his face had gotten out, and he had gone through a bunch of work to go through the weight loss to get to this face reveal. So he wanted it to be worth something. And so he lied initially. Which, in my opinion, first reactions, I feel like he should have admitted to it and owned up to it, because then when that face reveal happened where he's actually skinny, it would have been so much more of a huge reveal that he had gone through this weight loss, and it was super impressive. But that's a really, really small nitpick, and I have so much more to talk about with this video. Because then Dream transitions over to the cheating allegations, the speedrun cheating allegations, where he was like doing a speedrun and he traded with some piglins, gave him some gold, they gave him like an abundance of ender pearls, like a 1 in 4 billion chance, and the internet's like, hey buddy, that was statistically impossible, and he was like, my bad, I had no clue those plugins were installed. And the whole internet's like, okay, sure you didn't. And what he does is he refers to a video from Carl Jobst, who Carl Jobst is like a documentary style YouTuber who broke down the entire situation and kind of proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt, they don't think Dream actually was aware of what plugins were installed with this new update. And I haven't watched the video because it's an hour and 15 minutes long, but Carl Jobst doesn't seem to have any preconceived biases about Dream. So it would be weird of him to make up this long of a video after being this prestigious of a YouTuber that a lot of people trust with these types of situations to lie about this. Adding on to the fact that Dream also covers the whole Harvard professor situation, where he said that he hired a Harvard professor to do the math to prove the statistical probability of the piglins giving him that many ender pearls. And apparently what it was is he went on a random website and contacted a random math professor who, regardless of if he had proven Dream's innocence or not, signed a contract to say he had to post the professor's evidence. And apparently Dream, while not understanding the math, knew he was innocent, and so he just posted the math. And it made him look like a doofus, but in reality, he just knew he was innocent and ran with whatever the guy was telling him. Adding on to the fact that he apparently deleted every single speedrun record he had ever made and donated $50,000 to various speedrunning streamers across Twitch, I think he's just trying to make up for the fact that he had no clue he had cheated and essentially took it off the record. I think that's fine. He wiped the slate clean. But then the next thing he covers in this video is actually drama that I had no clue even existed in the first place, and it all revolves around a content creator named ManaTreed. I don't know if this is his channel. This is just the one that I had found when I looked up his name. But apparently ManaTreed was a content creator who had joined the Dream SMP and lived with Dream for a little while because he was one of Dream's longtime friends. However, what had happened was information eventually came out about ManaTreed having domestically abused a previous partner that he had been with. And initially, Dream, having seen none of the evidence, just went to jump to defend his friend because he thought his friend would never have done something like that. But over time, information became more evident. He figured out it was real, and Dream did the right thing and removed ManaTreed from the SMP and had him stop living with him. So that was kind of a cut and dry situation, the open and closed book, and I'm happy he brought it up even though I had no clue about it. it because it probably would have come up later. But of course, the train just keeps on chugging because this is an hour and 22 minutes I'm condensing down here. So give me the benefit of the doubt here. Sorry if this video is all over the place. But the next thing he covers is I like to call the weird allegations. A lot of it going around the weird images you see of him going around online, like this one or like this one. God. And what he immediately answers to that is Snapchat. See, on Snapchat, there is a content creator side of things where you post a lot, and in return, you get a pretty good monetary compensation as well as some pretty good discoverability on the app. And to get that discoverability and monetary compensation, you need to post upwards of thousands of times a day. At least that's what he says in the video. It's probably hundreds. But still, when that happens, you of course get a lot of images cherry-picked and picked out to be used because you're doing some weird satirical pose. He even in the video says this face that he made, I don't know why it's so low poly, is extremely ugly, and he did not do it as a thirst trap, he did it because it looked funny, alongside a lot of the other faces that he's done. And it seems like, from what I've picked up, and I've wrote this down in my book, it seems like a lot of the times that Dream gets hated on for things like this, it's a lot of preconceived notions where Dream is just already seen as cringe and then gets caught in the crossfire because what he did was slightly cringier and people immediately assume the worst of him. As well as like the flirtatious thirst traps. A lot of those aren't even from his account. Apparently they're from fake accounts that are like Dream copies who post images of him doing these funny poses and be like, you want me, or something like that. And we immediately react because, just like I said in a different video recently, Twitter has a problem with clone accounts and people impersonating people and just getting away with it because of the weird verification system that's on Twitter now. And he also addresses the weird TikToks he's created where he just says he was just being weird. And I guess I can understand that. People can be weird. It's just Dream has this level of not being allowed to because it can be taken as extreme cringe, and he's excruciatingly famous, so it creates that sort of stigma. And adding on to people kind of taking his satire out of context, the unface reveal was fake? I thought it was real! But just like most people, I had reacted to the internet's initial reaction to it. I didn't actually watch the video where in it, he gets attacked by his friends for showing his face. Like, physically, as like a joke. So I didn't realize that was a satire video, alongside the one tweet he made where he called his community the kittens. Apparently that was a joke on Discord kittens, and he deleted the tweet after saying it because he realized it could be taken weirdly. It's just all Dream doing weird things, and the internet taking it as serious because he's a cringe individual, and it's easy to kind of take that context from him. But now we're going to take a step into the grooming allegations, starting with the first one, which is Amanda. See, Amanda's someone who had DM'd him on Instagram very early in his content creation career when he was a lot smaller, which, as a small creator myself, every DM counts. Every single DM you get as a creator is something important until you get bigger when there's too many of them to catch up with. And the problem with Instagram is when you take something from your like pending messages into your inbox, those messages are now permanently in your inbox. You can't not let that person DM you now. You can no longer just stick it in the pending category. And so she kept DMing him, and for months, as he grew bigger, he would respond very slowly, once every month, maybe once every 2 months, once every half year even, until eventually, after deleting the conversation, he didn't know who this was. And he only saw past conversations about her wanting to be a streamer, so he thought, oh, this must be one of my content creator friends, or a content creator who's trying to talk to me, which content creators are at a higher echelon than fans when it comes to DMs, so he responded. And she asked him about music creation, which was a passion of his, and so eventually she added him on Snapchat, just so he was able to send his music without it being stolen, because I assume it's harder to do on Snapchat. But what happened was, she said that initially, like a day or two after he had added her on Snapchat, they got down and dirty. They were getting smexual, sexting, weenie pics getting exposed, things like that. And there's a lot of holes in that story. One of the big ones being there is no evidence, no screenshots or anything of that coming from Dream, adding on to the fact that he went from not being interested in responding to her for months on end to all of a sudden just whipping out his weenie the second he added a girl on Snapchat. It feels relatively weird, and while I know Dream is a strange individual, I don't know if he is that strange. And apparently, she had been banned from multiple streamers' chats for getting weirdly sexual with the streamers in their chats. So that's already a bad look, adding on to the fact that there is, like, the motive could have been her being angry at him never ever responding to her or ignoring some of her messages. I don't know, but that's just what he puts forward, and it sort of makes sense to an extent. Alongside the fact that she had said she reported him to a police station, but then he went to the police station she said she reported him to, and they had zero record of him. So it seems like it was just all a lie. He also briefly touches on the Quackity situation and how he stopped interacting with his friends for a little while, and so when that situation happened, he emotionally lashed out, which he admits was wrong of him, so that's pretty good. But then he gets into, finally, the big one, the Nicholas Cantu situation. And I hate to be the kind of YouTuber to direct you to another video for describing this thing, but this video is really compact, so if you want a true, good, in-depth breakdown of the entire Nicholas Cantu situation, I made a video on it. You can check it out if you really want to, but essentially what happened was he was out at a birthday party, he ran into Nicholas, and Nicholas was drunk, and the first thing he did while FaceTiming his friends was hit Dream. I assume as a way to get a little bit of clout from his friends, and just to be weirdly silly because he's drunk, I don't know. And then afterwards, Nicholas and Dream took the same Uber ride home. And in the Uber ride, Nicholas dropped his phone out of the window, and then when they stopped the Uber to go get his phone, a police officer came by and talked to him, and Nicholas was super condescending to the cop. This is all stuff I didn't get to include in the initial video, by the way. This is information that's come out with Dream's response. But he's rude to the cop, and then when he gets back in the car, the Uber driver tries to talk to him about all of it, and be, hey, that was kind of a weird way to act, like a weird egotistical reaction. And then Nicholas starts shitting on the Uber driver, and that's when the Dream recording happens, where Nicholas begins shitting on Dream and calls him a slur and all of that. And Dream makes sure to very cautiously include two big things the internet attacked him for. One, they're like, hey, you allowed a kid to drink in your watchful eye, right? Well, one, Dream had no clue that Nicholas was underage. He was 20 years old. But two, he also didn't really know Nicholas that well at all. He met him at that party, and they just happened to take the same Uber ride home. And the other big thing was the whole recording him while he was drunk to use as blackmail later. Well, apparently, that wasn't Dream's video. It was someone else in the car who had recorded everything, and when all the drama went down between Nicholas and Dream, where they started beefing on Twitter, Nicholas said, you have no proof of any of this, you don't have a video, and Dream heard from someone else in the car, oh yeah, there is a video, and released it. And of course, the internet was like, Dream, why are you doing this? You're blackmailing a kid. But in reality, he was just doing exactly what Nicholas was asking for. He then, of course, adds a big note about like it being anti-dox, which is a huge thing I'm happy he addressed, because one of the big issues I have with Dream's community is they're out of control. Like, Dream will say he doesn't like a certain person. All of a sudden, 13 people in his community know where they live and has already sent a United States designated airstrike to their home. When in reality, Dream has said in the video, hey, if you're someone who doxes, you are not a member of my community, and I don't support you. And I'm really happy he said that. I'm happy he included that. And chronologically, we move on to Burner22. Burner22 was a Twitter account that came forward a long time ago saying, hey, Dream had assaulted this girl named Jamie. And the entire internet exploded because, like, there were moaning videos of Dream. Everyone was like, okay, Dream is cooked. There's no way he could come back from this. I even made a video about this saying, if this is real, Dream's cooked. There's no way of him coming back from this. But Dream addressed all of this. One of the big ones being the video itself of the moaning has a bit of a snap in between when it shows the black screen of him moaning and the image of his profile. And also, you never see a finger tap the profile. There are no buttons on your phone that can activate a snap aside from you tapping it yourself. So that video was doctored. Surprisingly enough, that was actually a fake video, and it's crazy that he managed to point that out. Adding on to the fact that Jamie, the person that Burner22 calls out as the person Dream assaulted, is actually a real person. It's a real friend of Dream's that was friend of his when he was a smaller content creator who he eventually grew away from. But Jamie has come forward, and he actually gets an account from Jamie in the video who says, yeah, Dream has never interacted with me in any way like that. And this person, Burner22, has come forward with fake information about Jamie, and they say in the tweet that they were, given permission to post this stuff when they were given zero permission from anyone at all. Well, of course, I'm going to give you a bit of breaking information. Burner actually came out with another message saying, like, hey, if I wasn't given permission, if this was actually a lie, either the allegations are a lie or the person in the video is lying. And then they post more evidence trying to prove that it's real, which is crazy that they've been holding this evidence until Dream makes a response. It's like almost they're making things up to try and ruin his career further, and it's making them look worse, which all the comments agree with. Most of the comments on this post are like, yeah, you're grasping at something that isn't there. It even comes to the point that Dream takes a screenshot of a police station that someone had said they were going to report him, finds that police station and looks up every other police station, and that included in Florida, and finds zero record of his name or any reports being made in his name, which Burner says has been made. They say they make reports about him to the police station. So even then, they're lying, alongside having evidence that just doesn't add up. And then there was another, random exposal that happened very recently. It was like a 24-page exposal from a new account that had happened just a day or two ago, where the internet, of course, immediately believed it and said, Dream's cooked, this is the end. But This story goes on the whole idea that Jamie was the person being assaulted yet again, which we've already proven is not true, so that just gets thrown out the window. All 24 pages written for nothing. And at the end of the video, as he wraps things up, he does this really interesting thing where he creates fake videos of XQC doing a moaning on Snapchat and Pokimane doing a fake tweet DM talking about how she's, like, abusing her fans for money. They're both fake, and he admits they're both fake, but he shows how easy it is to create fake information about people. And I think that's so interesting and a very intriguing thing to add in the video, alongside wrapping it up with what I think was the best message ever, which is him creating actual defined boundaries for his community. Saying things like he does not support the NSFW art that's being made about him. What else does he say? He doesn't like the shipping, the weird, uncomfortable shipping between him and his friends. He thinks it's silly, but he thinks that if you take it super seriously, there's something wrong with you. You shouldn't be doing that. As well as saying, in quotes, I quoted this, "Do not obsess over me." And I'm happy he said those things. I'm happy he put that, because the boundaries he never instated are one of the reasons his fan base has been considered so crazy to this day. And of course, he ends it with saying that he feels bad for arguing on Twitter, because he feels like him arguing about tweets really isn't worth it, because if anything can be taken out of context. Everything can be taken in the wrong way. So he's actually planning to leave Twitter and pay someone to run his Twitter account for him, as he's done for most of his accounts. But I find it really interesting how in-depth this video was. I know my video isn't exactly the most in-depth. It is a very brief breakdown of everything, because that hour and 22 minutes is a saturated hour and 22 minutes of solid content, and I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't. But if you haven't and you just checked this out, I hope I was able to get the story across in the most convenient way possible. And overall, that's about where the situation lies. I'm really happy to see someone clear their name. I was never really hoping that the things that were said against him were real, although I'm not a Dream stan. I'm not someone who loves Dream. I've never even really seen any of his videos before besides this one, but I wanted to break it down because I just like the idea of someone actually going through the due process and not having just been condemned and witch hunted for something that isn't been confirmed 100%. And I hope that I was able to share some information to you guys as well. But of course, if you want to stick around for more, you can subscribe and post videos every single day about various happenings on the internet, and I'm happy I was able to cover this for you guys. Thank you, and of course, for the song of the day, I'm going to make the fatherless joke for Dream fans. I'm going to give you guys Father Time by Kendrick Lamar. I've been recently getting into this Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers album, and I'm really into it, so if you want to give it a listen, I'll add it to the Songs of the Day playlist. But for now, I'm done with these notes. I'm hitting the road. Thank you guys for being amazing, and as always, adios, arrivederci, goodbye, good night, and let's see what comes out next.